This one is done pretty early in the morning, so I've got to keep my voice down. And today is quite a long day actually, because we've got the King of the Campsites competition in the year 2015. Remember last year, Alex Baines won the competition in the venture capital competition, when we got the vice president of BlackRock Investments came in, and she saw that he was the #1 individual. But anyway, here we're looking at information, and this is Walmart, and Walmart's a huge company, 2 million employees, 2 million employees, and the 200 million transactions weekly. So what it is the company invests heavily to ensure that it manages information effectively in all areas of its business. To what extent has managing information effectively become the key to being market leader? Right, so if you don't focus on the keywords, you're not even going to enter. So the keyword here is this the key to being a market leader? To what extent has managing information effectively become the key to being market leader? Well, immediately, hopefully you're going to think, well, there are lots of reasons that's going to make you a market leader. Have you got a great product? It's probably more important than having great information. But maybe you need the great information to have a great product. What's your marketing strategy going to be? What's your overall strategy going to be? So this question really allows you to talk about the whole of business studies, and that's what I'm going to show you in this particular clip on here. So, intro, information is crucial. Now, you may not know this, but you now know it, is information split into 3 parts: strategic, tactical and operational. The operational is the day-to-day workings of the business. Tactical is short-term decision-making, and strategic is obviously long-term decision-making. So a strategic decision is Antos Matrix, shall we move into China? Is this a good idea or not? Okay, so basically, you want to use your Unit 3 information. So you have operations information, you have financial information, you have human resource information, and you want to analyse the information, or this information, not the information, analyse this. Okay, I'm going to put in there, this information. Okay, operations management, just in time, time-based management, look at unit cost, productivity. You need all the information to see how competitive you are. For instance, if you are Ryanair, you want to know if you are more competitive than other firms in that industry, and if your unit costs are low. Remember, unit cost is total cost divided by output. Then you have a competitive cost advantage, and you can use cost minimization. Finance, what's your cash like? What's your profit like? What are your margins like within that business? And finally, we're looking at human resources, the workforce planning. How many people do we need in the future? So you need to make all of those decisions. So therefore, of course, information is absolutely crucial. However, what I would say is this: when Steve Jobs got that hunch, you're never going to forget that again, he had sort of had a feeling that he could create loads of technology in a very small space, and it was very much in terms of how they gave that product to the customer. Right, now he was a market leader, he had a bit of a hunch about it. They produce fantastic products. They are now, their company is worth something like, I hope I get this right, $3 trillion. So it's the biggest company ever in the history of mankind. And really it was done on the basis of some sort of hunch that it was a it was a great idea. Obviously now the company's really big, and it's got loads of shops all over the world. Information is absolutely critical to that organisation. And if I think of another company, what we've got here is Zara, and the way that it runs. Remember that short clip that you see on Zara is very keen on getting the right information. What clothes are selling? What clothes are coming back? So if this week those sorts of clothes are selling, they may need to make more of them, because they've got 104 fashion lines a year. So they've got this really incredible system where as soon as they have the information that they need to produce more of that particular garment, then they go and produce more of that particular garment on there. So for information for them is absolutely critical. Okay, fantastic idea to come out with all those different fashion lines and copy all the models on the catwalk. Brilliant idea. What's Madonna wearing and all that sort of thing, and get it out into their shops very, 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 very quickly. So for that to happen, for that to operate successfully, they must have loads of information. Okay, so is it the key to being market leader? That's the question. Okay, clearly it is very important, but don't take away the idea that you just have a feeling that this is a good idea. Okay, first intro done. Attack the question, please. Which is 2 million employees, and how important is information? To what extent is managing information effectively become the key to be market leader? Right. Well, okay, so I'm going to make a point here. Yes, of course you need lots of information. And I'm going to use the example of Untitled JLR because that's the one that we know. Now, what's the information would they need? They would want to know the income elasticity of demand in China. So you've got to understand that concept. As incomes rise in China, how much of that will be spent on Jaguar Land Rovers? Okay, we also want to know the price elasticity of demand. We want to know if we can charge a really high price for that car, so we can charge a high gross margin. If we can do that, then we're going to be able to make more profits. They may decide to build a factory in China, and what are the unit costs like? What's the productivity levels like? They may decide to go for a joint venture. What sort of marketing information do they need? Do they need Victoria Breckham, who eventually came to brand that idea because she was an icon throughout the whole world? They need to work out projected profit and loss accounts, all the financial stuff. So, however, the original idea by Tata, right, was probably based on a sort of hunch. Let's make this little Tata car in India because as the Indian middle class grows to 300 or 400 million people, they're going to want a small cheap car. They're not on high income, so maybe we just build them a nice, more simple car. But right over in China, where there's lots of millionaires, then maybe we should be selling Jaguar Land Rovers in there. It'd be really cool because they've got the British brand. So the actual original idea was the key to be market leader. But obviously they're going to need a lot of information in that process. So they need the two things together. But I'll probably say here that the original idea was probably more important than the level of information. Now you can make that own decision. You can say, well, no, I think the information is more important than the actual products of the car. But we've got our point, we've explained it, and then we've also evaluated it from there. Okay, thank you. Last part of this question. Now remember, the actual key part of the question was about Walmart, a massive great big company, and to what extent has managing information effectively become the key to being market leader? Well, if you really think about it, the absolute key to being market leader, you need to have great leadership, you need to have a great brand, you have to have good marketing, and you've got to have a great product. And if you have all of those things, you are likely to be a market leader. However, also, if you've got great information, this great information may help you to build a great brand. So information is maybe one of the things that holds all this together. But absolutely, you need to have a reasonable product. Okay, so on the third paragraph now, I'm going to talk about Virgin. I'm going to say, well, Virgin was actually built up on a hunch. Sort of Richard Branson had a feeling for what business could be like. So he would put himself in the process of being a customer and would think, well, what would the customer really want from this particular product? Okay, that was his whole idea. So it was built on that sort of idea, and then he came up with Virgin Atlantic, and clearly it was a great success. It helped him to build a great brand because it was all based around the idea of customer service, that particular product. Right. So he had a hunch about that, but it was also based on some pretty clear ideas that every company that then came and joined them would have to challenge the status quo. Now, but when a company does come up with an idea, they do loads and loads of research. They find out exactly what the customer wants, how big is the market growing, is the market going to grow in emerging markets, can they take that product global, is it a global brand, can they scale up the firm, can it fulfill loads and loads of different functions, can it fulfill loads of markets, and the idea of eventually branded capital house. So they have ideas, yes, but they also do loads and loads of market research, which fulfills this. They do a lot of research to become a market leader. So they want to get into grey markets and they want to have a high market share in that market, according to the Boston Matrix. That's obviously being a star. And they're also prepared to diversify, which is the highest risk, but maybe the highest risk also creates the greatest reward. So there's a lot of nice theory we could get in there. Right, and then maybe on the fourth paragraph, you maybe want to write Walmart. Well, Walmart is based upon information. They want information on all the different lines and how all the different lines are working, which are the best sellers. Now, if they work out which are the best sellers, and then they're going to use more of those. They want to get the costing information as well. They want to work out the price elasticity of demand. So for them, information is probably pretty important. However, interestingly, Aldi just came along and simplified the whole process down. So Tesco's has got 21,000 lines, Aldi's got 1,200. So it focuses on just a few products, and that seems to be catching force with the UK consumer because they've got lower prices and at the same time they've got decent quality. And finally on there, your conclusion is really important. I mean, you're going to get 40 marks right for evaluation, but it really binds a whole lot of essays together. Now, of course, it's not just having information. With that, you've got to come up with the right strategies. You can list them: cost optimization, cost minimization, diversification, new market, moving into global markets. Can you build a global brand? Okay, innovation. You've got to have the right culture within the organisation. Right, so have you got a task culture? Have you got an innovative culture? Have you got a calculated risk-taking culture? Have you got an entrepreneurial culture? So we can also put it in there. But of course, information is also important. And then I can maybe talk about some of the leaders. Well, what about Steve Jobs? He started with the power culture, and then he moved on to a task culture. Now there's much more of a democratic culture under Tim Cook, and it's a very innovative culture, and that's created a great company from there. Okay, so at the end of the day, of course, information is important, but so are a whole host of other things. If you write that essay like that, because you've absolutely attacked the question, you've built those arguments, lots of application, lots of ideas and firms in there, and using the theory, you're going to come up with a great mark. Not an easy question to do, but now go away and write the essay and produce a great essay, and that'll be fantastic. Have a great holiday and enjoy yourselves.